To another video. It's a little bit windy out here, so hopefully you can hear me all right. I've come to Start Point Lighthouse, which you can see just here, and I'm on the rocks above it, pointing down towards the lighthouse. Sunrise was a little while ago, but for me that doesn't matter today because I've come to shoot black and white, which is what today's video is mainly going to contain. I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs with black and white in this video, more of how I and why I shoot quite a lot of black and white, which you may notice from my videos. One of the main reasons I shoot a lot of black and white is because it strips away distractions such as colours. So all the different colours that you have popping out around can draw your eye to that point before you get to the subject. I find with black and white, when you take away some of these distractions, it focuses more on the subject and the composition. I think it's quite a useful way of teaching yourself how to line up compositions by shooting in black and white, if you can. If your camera will allow you to view your composition in black and white in camera, then that's an excellent way, I think, to help hone your composition. And the image, it becomes more about the textures and the luminosity. So where you have your whites and your shadows, your rich blacks, and I think it has a slightly more artistic look to it. When I get home and get on the computer, I'm going to find some of my images that I can describe what I'm talking about, with the difference of that image being in color or in black and white, and how it works in black and white but doesn't work in color. And I'll show you some examples of some of my stuff. Quite a lot of my stuff is black and white. Now, some of my images wouldn't work in black and white. They're all about the actual colors that are there, but in a lot of situations I find the colors to be distracting. If the colors work and go together perfectly and suit that image, then it will be a color. But I don't know, I just really enjoy black and white images. They're more dramatic, they're more contrasty. You can have black, real deep blacks, and the highlights which stand out and give a much more contrasty, impactful image. So I'm here at Start Point Lighthouse. I've taken a couple of shots. I've done a landscape where I've got these rocks that curve round and lead you to the lighthouse. At the moment I'm doing a square crop where I've just got the lighthouse and this bit of this rock here, and I've done a portrait orientation with the leading line of the rocks down here again that take you out to the lighthouse. Some quite nice images, I think. We'll have a look. It's really quite windy. I didn't think it was going to be, but it is. So I'm going to go this side of these rocks, away from the wind a bit more, where I can talk to you. Now I'm going to go right over there onto the tip of these rocks here and put my wide angle lens on, and I'll talk to you when I get down there and find a composition. I've come around the back of these rocks now, and I've got the lighthouse in front of me here, sun up to the left, and if I just pop you down here, I've got this old rusty chain in the foreground that's curving round this rock with these rusty posts that lead down to the lighthouse, like so. I'll try and turn the camera on. I've got my 16mm at 16mm. Not sure if you can see this, probably not because of the reflection, but what I've got is the chain in the bottom left hand corner, just curving out and round. I've got it in portrait orientation, and it's somewhere like that, wide angle, and it comes out like so, and just catches about there. I think it's a nice composition. I've done it in landscape and portrait, and I've got my camera set to black and white, so I'm viewing it as a black and white, which helps because I can visualize what it's going to look like when I edit it, and it strips away all these different colors that we've got going on and just shows me the composition and the highlights and the shadows and how contrasty it is. So real beneficial if you've got a black and white setting on your camera that you can pop it into. I find it so much easier to line up a composition when I've got it set in that mode. I don't do it all the time, but I do it quite a bit. I think it helps. It's a good teacher of composition. If you've got that setting on your camera and you can try it, then I suggest doing it, and you'll see what I mean. It removes a lot of distractions, and you can just focus on lining up your composition better, I think. I'll pop this image up, and hopefully it's a good one and you like it, and then I'm gonna head over to a beach over there where there's some interesting rocks, and we'll see what we can get there. It should be sheltered on the other side of that cliff over there. So as soon as I've finished here, we'll head on over there and see what we can find. But like I say, I'm going to pop up some images. I'll do a screen record on the computer and go through some of my images and explain to you what I like about the black and white versions of them, and how it helps and how it works in black and white but wouldn't necessarily work in colour. And hopefully you'll see what I mean, and hopefully it might spur you on to go out and shoot some black and white, and maybe help to improve your compositions if you struggle a little bit with it. And yeah, let's see what we find on the other side of that cliff. I'm going to show you a few images. Let's start with these two here. And the difference between colour and black and white. Excuse the sound recording. I don't have a microphone at the moment, and I'm just using the webcam mic. Right, let's get into this. So, two of the same image. Although I do like the tones of it in colour, I think it's much more impactful in black and white, because you're drawn to look at this colour here. You look down here, there's some sheep there with red paint on them, which you don't even notice in the black and white. It's more contrasty and more moody and dramatic, which is a good example of why I choose the black and white in this sort of situation. Although I do like this colour. Next up, let's look at these two. Again, two of the same image, but if you see the colours, I feel personally that you're drawn to here. You're drawn to over here because of these light greens. Your eye moves around a fair bit more than it does when it's just black and white. You're just drawn, I feel, straight to this area here, where the brightest part of the image is, which is the main part of the composition. You've got the house, the tree with the dark cloud just going over the top of it, and all of the textures of the grass, which I don't think you notice so much in colour. You're not looking here straight away. You might look there, and then the green pulls you in over here, and this bright patch over here. So again, another reason why I just love black and white images. They they're more about the composition and the subject than everything else. I don't think you'd look over here at all on the black and white. You're just mainly drawn to this area here, which is what I want you to look at. So that's a good example, I think, of how colour can be distracting. Here's another two. Both the same image. The colour, and then the much more impactful, contrasty black and white version. I'll zoom out. There you go. For me, it's the black and white every time with these two images. You can turn the contrast up more, you can darken the shadows, brighten the highlights and the whites, and you're just drawn to here. With this, I know the shadows aren't as dark on here, but I mean, you look up here because of this band of colour, you're drawn around to different parts of the image when this section here is the main focal point. So another good example of how impactful black and white can be. I'm just going to show you a few images from the same place I was at today, Start Point Lighthouse, from my previous trip. Computer's a bit slow. So black and white, it's got depth to it, contrast, you led through the composition. If this was colour, I think the colour of this sea, the colour of these green grasses here would draw your eye over there. You've got different coloured bits on these rocks, some greens and some flowers, and it's just more simplified in black and white, and it's all about the layout of the composition and the feel. This one here was the road down to Start Point Lighthouse with a horrendous rainstorm coming through. Dark leading line down and just this lighter area. It's quite a dramatic image. Here's another one. Start Point in black and white with a really bad rain cloud in the background. Here's another one from the beach. Again, I feel if this was colour, you'd be drawn to so many different parts of it, as opposed to where you should be looking. So again, a good example of black and white and how it simplifies compositions and gives good impact to the image that probably wouldn't be there if that was in colour. Finally, this one was sunrise. Sunrise at Start Point. Now, it would just be rude if this was black and white and not the beautiful colours that we've got going on in this image. The golden light lighting up this half of the image, and then the cooler tones on this side because of the cloud blocking it. I think the colours just look lovely in this image, and that's why it will remain a colour image as opposed to a black and white. Now, I'll just show you a couple of examples of images that wouldn't work in black and white, and another one that wouldn't work in colour. So this one here, this was taken at blue hour after the sun had set, and the colours are pretty much straight out of camera, and I think it's beautiful. If that was black and white, it would be a shame for a start, because these tones and the feel and colour of this image just work perfectly. So yeah, that's going to remain as it is. And then this one, if that was black and white, it wouldn't add drama. You wouldn't see the rainbow. Well, you would, but you wouldn't see the colours of the rainbow and the lovely light that we've got on these grasses. So again, that's another image that you just wouldn't do as black and white. It works as colour. And finally this one in the mountains in the Pyrenees, which if you look through my video catalogue, you'll find some Pyrenees mountains videos, and this is taken from one of those. This just would not have the same feel if it was in colour. The colour of these trees, although they're all bare trees, it just wouldn't do it justice. It's a dramatic, impactful black and white image, and a pretty good example of why I love black and white photography. So yeah, that's it. Back to the video. We've got Slapton Sands over here, and out in this big bay here. This is where they did the practice for the D-Day landings on Slapton over there, and they did live firing, and the Americans killed a load of their own soldiers just practicing for the D-Day landing. There's a tank that was found under the sand on the beach, and if you metal detect on that beach or anything, it's absolutely strewn with shrapnel, bits of bombshell and all sorts, bullets. It's worth a visit if you're in the South Hams in Devon. Just wandering down to the beach now, and just thinking, it's quite, it's getting on now. Sunrise was at 5, just gone 5 o'clock this morning. It was starting to get light at 20 past 4 when I got up. I don't know about you, but I'm not really up for getting up at 3:30 in the morning on a Saturday or a Sunday and driving out to catch the sunrise. So my point is, black and white, you can shoot all through the day. The sun is high up now, high up in the sky, and it's harsh, bright light. But with black and white, it doesn't really make a difference. In fact, sometimes it's better, because you get that real contrast. There's no clouds in the sky today whatsoever, and it's a bright blue sky, but I'm sure I'm still going to make some good black and white images. I love a moody, stormy day when it's raining. You've got real black, nasty clouds. You make some dramatic black and white images on days like that, and I love it. They're my favourite, really. I'll show you some examples now. But also you can do some high key black and white images. I'll show you another example now. So it doesn't really matter what time of day it is when you're shooting black and white, as long as you've got light and some subjects. Or that's another thing, it doesn't necessarily need to be a specific subject, just some shapes, some forms, some S-curves. I'll give you another example now. They can make some amazing black and white images even when the light and the time of the day doesn't really suit landscape photography. So it's a really good thing to try and get into if you don't shoot black and white, or you don't convert and edit into black and white. Then maybe you should try it and think about going out during the day and finding some subjects that wouldn't normally look too great given the harsh light, but once converted to black and white actually make a really good image. So have a look, see what you can find, and yeah, nearly down to the beach now. Down on the beach now, and I've climbed out onto some rocks and got this composition in front of me. These two pointy rocks here, and these ones that lead out and then just end there. What I've done is I've put a 10 stop ND filter on, put it onto f11 ISO 64, and that's giving me a 15-second exposure to smooth out some of this water, and you get the white of the waves there contrasting around the edge of the image, and I think it's quite nice. It's quite hard on this beach. The tide's in and the sun's behind me, so I'm casting a shadow on everything that I want to shoot, so it's a little bit awkward, but we're making what we can of it. I've spotted just over there water, a little mini waterfall coming off the rocks, so I'm going to see if I can go over there somewhere and shoot that way and get that with the two peaks. I don't know if I can make that work, but I'm going to go and have a look in a minute. Anyway, here's this image. This looks interesting. See that waterfall there? Looks lovely. Let's see what if I can line something up here. I quite like this. Points you out to a waterfall and to whatever you want to call them. I quite like this. I'm going to see if I can line up a shot from here. If I can, I'll get back to show you what I've got. Yeah, that makes a nice image, that does, I think. I've got it in portrait mode. Yeah, you're not going to see that. Anyway, I've got it in portrait mode, and I've had to move myself back away from this edge here to here, and then zoom in to around 40mm, because my shadow I needed to get rid of. So I wanted to be wider and closer and a bit lower and try and get that, but because of the shadow I've had to move back. But problem solved. Step back a bit, zoom in, and it also compresses the background a little bit, makes this a bit bigger. I think that's a nice image. That waterfall cascading in the back. It's what was it, 10 seconds 10 seconds at f11, so that water's quite silky and looks very nice. I'm going to try a few more. I'll try landscape, and then what I might do is get my wide angle lens on, 16mm thereabouts, and go really close to that, so hopefully my shadow won't be in it if I get really close and really wide, and we'll see what that looks like as well. But here is this image I've just taken. Just jumped down from the rocks here on my left onto this little beach. Tiny, it's not really a beach, but there's some rocks and the peak and the waterfall. So it's another angle to try and get the shot from. What I've done is gone close down to these rocks in the foreground. Long exposure, got the water around the rocks and the waterfall in the background. I think it looks quite nice. Here's that image. Now I'm just gonna go back up the top and walk across the rocks where I spotted a minute ago another angle of the waterfall with some rocks in the foreground, so let's go and see what we can do with that. Just come out onto these rocks here. I can't video it, it's quite windy. I don't know, you can probably hear, but these rocks are quite black with white quartz running through it. So I've done portrait orientation of this, pointing down towards the foreground. I've had to put the image stabilization on to do long exposure because it's so windy. I'm not sure that, I think it was blurred the first time, so I've put the image stabilization on and held on to the tripod to try and keep it steady as best I can in the wind. But there's another angle, might be a nice image. Here it is. Let me know what you think. I've just run around this area taking a few more different images with the 16 to 35 wide angle lens. The only difference is, not the only difference, the only problem is I don't have a filter for that lens at the moment, so a bit faster shutter speed. But as you can see, my shadow's causing a real problem, so I've done what I can. I've got down low, tried to find little bits. I've gone down low here, I've gone high and on an angle, and tried to find little bits like this. These don't know what they are exactly. These sea weeds pointing out to that, really close and really wide. So few images, some of them might be good. I'll post them up for you to take a look at anyway now, and you can let me know what you think, or if there's one that you definitely prefer. I'm going to start heading back now and walk back up the top and get off the beach. Just look at that. You'd think I was in the Caribbean or something. So that's it for today. Hopefully I've got round to doing a screen recording on a computer and show you some different images and why they work in black and white, and half the reason why I enjoy shooting black and white a lot. And hopefully you've enjoyed the images from today and the video, and maybe learnt something, or if not, at least been inspired to maybe go out and shoot black and white, maybe in the middle of the day when conditions aren't ideal. You can shoot black and white and still make some good images. Thanks for watching. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please consider it. Helps me out, and thank you very much to everybody that has subscribed so far. Very much appreciated. So that's it for this video. Oh, by the way, I've just got back from the Dordogne in the south of France, where I wasn't there for photography, but I did take a little travel camera with me and did quite a bit of medieval street photography. So I'm going to put together a short video of that, which is mostly just going to be pretty much a slideshow, because I didn't do any talking to camera really. So watch out for that. Quite a lot of that's black and white as well, and I'll see you on the next one.